So growing vegetables is also not environmentally benign, and I was wondering if you could touch on some of the environmental impacts of that and some realistic solutions. Like even organic agriculture oftentimes relies on composted animal nutrition to maintain soil fertility.
Well, let's take that question and divide it out a little bit. First of all, there are a number of plant growing techniques, whether it's here in the U.S. or elsewhere. For instance, China and India are having some very difficult times with the way that their irrigation process for rice right now is above like 400 gallons for a pound of rice, but that's because they're not using organic techniques. So there are some issues, and benign might be a word, not as benign might be a term or phrase that you might be using, but again, you should be looking at it more in a relative sense. It's infinitely less or more benign to grow crops correctly organically. And I can go over example after example of how they've restored various areas in African countries that have lost 2/3 of their topsoil just by introducing and implementing purely plant-based organic systems. And yes, and to the other part of that question, they've taken livestock completely out of the equation, including that Machacos district, because there's a huge myth that Rodale has started to expose, and there have been many others at Michigan State University and others, that you need livestock for composting and for protein development and for trampling and proper natural use of your fertilization into your soils, and that's not true at all. It's not true at all. And they can create a higher production on grazing land by grazing correctly by rotational pasturing and juvenile rotation and things like that. But there's no animal product today that is anywhere in the realm of being close to being as efficient as growing plants. And so, and the other last part of the question was, yeah, there are some serious issues with even the NOT program, the National Organic Program, for their certification process for both animals. It's riddled with flaws, as well as with plant growing techniques. Many of the farmers that I visited along the Pacific Northwest and California and the Central Valley, Imperial Valley, where they've actually began the organic movement in mid-1980s, they don't even ascribe to that other than the large growers, because they have to from a marketing standpoint, because there's so many flaws with it. But that aside, that's nitpicking too much. The growing, again, if you had an acre of land, it's ridiculous to think that you could grow any type of animal product as efficiently as plant products with an end product that's healthier for you to eat. So that's the best way I can describe that. So.